So I think we're already live. I'm just waiting for the Zoom channel to open in YouTube. So give us a few seconds. But if you're already watching, we are about to start. So here we are. Can you hear me, Olle?
Yes, loud and clear.
Very good, very good. Okay, Friday, September 17th, 2021. Time for another Friday Fika here at the Swedish Chamber in São Paulo. Of course, I brought the mug. I always mention this, that we're Swedes, we have a coffee in this size of mug, not the small xícara like we have in Brazil, no, right?
Of course.
Only you have the same size, excellent. And I brought some kanelbulle from Scandinavo here in São Paulo, and they also sent me a mini donut with a Swedish recipe for this Friday Fika. And Olle Scandinavo, our partner, is a restaurant here in Pinheiros in São Paulo, and they open for lunch. So if you're interested in Scandinavian food, living in São Paulo, please enter in contact with Olle Scandinavo, a great partner and a member of the chamber. And Fika, I always say
I've been there. It's a great place.
Oh, yes. The food was okay?
That was great. I've been a couple of times with my wife. Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, so we really recommend it. And about Fika, the Swedish concept, it's a break in the daily routine. You can do it at home, you can do it at your office, you can go out on many of the Swedish cafes, just to relax, talk to people, friends, and avoid business subjects, right? And this actually has proven to be it's a good moment. You become more creative, you get more ideas, you go back to your chair, and usually with much more energy and new ideas also for work. So the Fika concept is something we try to promote here in Brazil, also at the chamber. And today's guest is Olle Widen, or Olof actually. I will ask you about the name, if this nickname came up in Brazil, or if you always have been Olle, or is it Olle because the Brazilians, it's easier to pronounce Olle than Olof maybe. I will ask you about that, Olof. But first, so Olle, who is he? He's the CEO and co-founder of Finanzero. It's a Swedish fintech. It's an interesting story he has to tell. So, but first of all, Olle, welcome. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you come from, where you studied, etc. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. Great. I'm using the Fika concept a lot here in the office as well. So yeah, I'm Swedish. I'm born in Stockholm. I've been in Brazil now since 2010. Just passed my 11-year mark. I started studying at Stockholm University. Then I studied at Rotterdam, Erasmus University there. I also studied in University of St. Petersburg. And in Madrid, I studied a year Spanish. I studied political science, started, and then economics. So I basically left Sweden 18 years ago, something like this, but always been a frequent visitor, trying 2-3 times per year to spend some time back in Sweden. I have a Brazilian wife. We have a son now, just over 1 year, 1 year and 3 year old, 1 year and 3 months old. So I guess we're gonna talk about Finanzero, but yeah, I moved here, a transfer with Bloomberg, and then in 2015 I left Bloomberg to start start up the fintech Finanzero together with 3 other Swedish co-founders.
Okay, cool. Olle, so when you were, 18, 19, 20 years old, you already went to international universities, you studied languages. So did you have this dream already then about living abroad, having an international career?
Yeah, I think I definitely dreamed of living abroad. I started also kind of in parallel, or took some semesters off to travel, a lot of backpacking, Asia, India, Nepal was a longer trip, and also South America. But yeah, when I was 22, I went for the first exchange year, and the first one for me was in Rotterdam. Studied international relations, and met so many foreign students. Lived in a place called the International House. I think it was 200 exchange students from all over the world in the same place. Sharing experiences and traveling together in Europe, and of course studying together, and still have a lot of connections from my student days still all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then after having graduated from all these university courses, it was time to go to work, right? Pay the bills, the student loans maybe. So what
Yes.
did you think then? Were you prepared to go to an ordinary 9-to-5 job, or were you from the beginning looking for a startup or something more like an entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think my dream when I started studying, especially then political sciences, international relations, was more to be a diplomat. But as most of us know, our career dreams can change a lot. I was definitely ready for a 9-to-5 job when I graduated. I started then my career in London in 2005. Started at advertisement, or actually a tracking agency is called, to work and analyze media or marketing campaigns for big companies at Carnaby Street in London. It was, just your first job. You end up somewhere, and then maybe your plans take a bit more shape. After a year and a half, then I started at Bloomberg in London, and covered the Scandinavian markets, actually on fixed income, on the bond markets, and traveling to the Scandinavian countries, and was a great experience also then. with all that happened in 2007 and 2008 and 2009, and kind of be in the heart of the financial markets at Bloomberg, and see the crisis and everything that was going on there in the beginning of my career. That was pretty crazy, actually.
Imagine. It's a great company, Bloomberg, and living in London, good match. But again, those years were quite turbulent. So tell us about your key takeaways from Bloomberg. What did you learn at Bloomberg that has helped you also here in Brazil and afterwards?
Yeah, Bloomberg is, very interesting. And half of the organization of the company is the news organization, and the other half is the Bloomberg terminals that you use for trading, etc. Basically, a separate internet for the financial markets, where I don't know how many terminals they have now, but when I left, I think it was around 350,000 terminals that you rent from them, $2,000 a month, something like this, that connects all the financial world. It was interesting to see both parts. I was more on the commercial side and the data side, but by having the news organization nearby. And of course, extremely inspiring with Michael Bloomberg. He's a pure entrepreneur, even though I don't know now, but I think they had 18,000 employees there when I left. But he built that from scratch. He was the mayor of New York when I joined, but he came back don't know the exact year, but I think it was 2013, something like this. So from just being the founder and then a political or very public person, he came back to the company. He visited us here in Sao Paulo a couple of times as well. But his story and the way he run the company, Bloomberg, was very inspiring to see, and is still very inspiring now when building your own business and see the size that he was doing. I remember we had a target for the whole company. This is something I tried to do here at Financiero now, but there was the revenue of $10 billion within a few years. That was the overall target. I think he introduced that in 2000 or the management introduced it in 2008, 2009, after when the crisis started to slow down, and that just shows the size of the company, right?
Amazing story. Okay, and then you came to Sao Paulo, and that was still for Bloomberg, right?
Yeah, I think if there are other Swedes or gringos, foreigners watching this, we all know the difficulties, including yourself, I'm sure, difficulties to move to Brazil with in terms of bureaucracy and all of this. So I was lucky. I have a similar story as many of our Swedes here. I met my wife when I lived in London, and she's from Sao Paulo. And then, I realized that the head office, obviously the European head office of Bloomberg is London, and then the New York office, and then the head office of Latin America was at the time at Behini here in Sao Paulo. So it took a while, had to convince a few people, but I came over. I remember January 2010, I worked a month and a half from the office here and managed to get the transfer, and it was really good. I stayed almost 5 years at Bloomberg, and it helped a lot with the transition. And once again, working at a company where you have the news and it's really easy to get into the country and especially the financial markets from inside Bloomberg.
I remember you became a member of the chamber at an early stage, and we took our innovation and this sustainability and innovation committee to Bloomberg, to your office.
Exactly, that was the old office there at Behini. I remember I reached out to the Chamber of Commerce before I moved here, and remember you were even I think you were transferring, or you had a stopover in London, so we met in London even before I moved. So for me it was quite natural to become a member there at the beginning and try to connect Bloomberg with the chamber and whatever, the whole team Sweden there.
No, it's a long story now. It's many great memories also from London. Olle, and then after some years at Bloomberg here in Sao Paulo, you met some Swedes with an interest in Brazil. There's opportunities, right? Mainly in the fintech market, and you decided to join forces. Tell us about this process. What happened?
So I was at Bloomberg. It was I can be honest here now. After a couple of years, I felt ready for something new, and with quite a lot of friends and connections in the Swedish startup and fintech kind of scene or circle. I started looking at some opportunities. Really started to accelerate my dream of starting something on my own and going into the startup world. I was started in 2013, looking at a opportunity for a marketplace for receivables, for factoring. me together with a couple of Swedish guys here and the founder of Lendo back in Sweden. That didn't happen, but let's see, beginning of 2015, then I met my co-founder and friend here, Patrick Axelsson, and Joachim Pops from Webrock Ventures. First I met was Patrick. We had a dinner. They were kind of setting up Webrock Ventures, investor and a venture builder. They had one portfolio company before Financiero then, but I met Patrick at a dinner, and the first thing we talked just a couple of minutes, you know, yeah, I'm at Bloomberg, and then basically he asked, then I said that my experience recently with the Lendo founder of trying to set or researching a marketplace for receivables. And then he just said, okay, do you want to do Lendo together, or the Lendo business model, basically a marketplace for consumer loans, consumer credit. You want to do it together? Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, something like that. We were discussing that before with the founder of Lendo there, but he had a non-compete agreement. But after that, it went pretty fast. We started doing some market research. Patrick and Joachim at Webrock, you know, had some presence here in Sao Paulo. They didn't live here, but Patrick lived before in Rio and invested in Brazil before, and they were setting up then at Webrock Ventures, the fund and the venture builder. So it was good. Then it was one more kind of piece of the puzzle. We had three co-founders from with experience from Lendo as well. So had set and worked in Scandinavia. The ex-CEO from Lendo in Norway, for example, Siri Bengtsson, part, and Christian Jakobsson was part of Schibsted when they bought Lendo. So this was the starting point, then together with Webrock and these other co-founders with experience from Lendo and kind of the crystal ball of how it was in the beginning of building up a marketplace for credit in a very different market, though, a very mature market if you compare with Brazil, of course, but still with, you know, knowing about the challenges in the beginning. I was the only guy on the ground there in the beginning. I left Bloomberg in November 2015. Yeah, from then, getting close to 6 years now, we've been building the business together.
And when did Financiero officially open?
So we registered the company already in November 15, but the website and the platform was live in I think it was around the 1st of May 2016.
Okay, so that's 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, we passed the 5-year mark.
Okay, and just for us to have an idea, how many people? What's the size today after 5 years? How many Brazilians have you supported or this year? How is 2021 for you? Just to get a notion of numbers in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, that was the idea, right? To have an idea or a business model that really worked in a mature market, a much bigger market. We reached a big benchmark last month, for example, to have 1 million people to went in and filled the whole form and asking for credit. Now we have a lot of different products, you know, normal personal loans, car loans, mortgages, home equity using an existing property as a guarantee. We have Brazilian products like Consórcio, Consignado, credit cards. But we are there now with around 1 million people coming, with around 3.5 million people visiting us, close to 4 million
per
visiting the site per month.
Per month. Yeah, that's important. Imagine, guys, over 1 million people per month. Swedish population is 10 million people, right? So in Sweden, that's a mind-boggling number.
And now the database we have, we're getting close to 20 million applications since the start. So we've been focusing a lot on building a strong consumer brand. And we know we have a very strong offer. This was not much transparency. It's changing now quickly. But for a normal Brazilian going to get a loan or a car loan, it's mostly go to your normal bank agency. Then when we started 2016, and now we have 54 bank partners now connected to the marketplace, and we see that it's kind of a win-win situation for the user, the consumer, or our clients. It's free of charge, and the banks get a new channel with finding new clients online, and we're helping the banks to become more digital. And once we saw the business model really working here in Brazil, we've been focusing a lot on marketing offline and online, and try to build a strong consumer brand and reach these numbers. The 1 million number from August was a real milestone for us.
Fantastic, congrats. You were saying that Lendo back in Sweden and Norway, right, served as an inspiration and the model for Financeiro, but it's still different, right? I was going to say that the financial market in Brazil is very different. Maybe you can talk about that. I mean, we talk about the banks in Brazil, for example, very few big banks that dominate the market. And this has been criticized, right, by many, but you guys saw opportunities also. Can you tell us a bit about challenges and opportunities on the Brazilian market in terms of fintechs?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was a lot of talk, and still a lot of talk of the big 5 banks, the 4 Brazilian ones, and then Santander with Itaú, Bradesco, Caixa, and Banco do Brasil. I think over the last 5 years or so, a lot changed. The whole consumer banking industry become much more digital, and of course a lot of new players coming into the market. So our role been first we started with some smaller banks and other fintechs that want to come into the market and wants help. Help from a marketplace like us. They know that they have an aggressive offer and can compete with the more traditional banks. And then smaller banks that were kind of suffering a bit against the big 5, that we could help find a new channel. And to be honest, help become more digital, because right now we do the whole process in our platform. If the banks lend the money, but we do the signing, the formalization, the contract, the first invoice, everything within us. So we could help, over the last 5 years, bring some transparency and bring some competition. What also happened, I would say, in the last 2 years is that now we have Itaú and Santander connected. We also have Banco do Brasil indirect. They have some joint ventures with some other banks that are connected as well. And we're working on a partnership directly with Banco do Brasil. Bradesco, we're also in conversation with, but right now we have the full spectra then. So with the 54 partners, around half are fintechs, and then 2 or 3 of the big banks that are also now have a big volume for us. And then the more mid-sized banks of the rest of the partners. So I think you used the right word, inspired by Lendo. We're completely independent from them, but did definitely help that we had some of the founders with experience from Lendo and knowing the business model really well. But right now it's 100% Brazilian platform, and the banks are very different, and some products that don't exist in Sweden. And to be honest, Lendo only work with personal loans. So we have 7-8 different products, including then bigger loans like mortgages or home equity loans. But we definitely saw the opportunity, like you said. There was not much transparency. There was not much will to open up for competition online. It was hard in the beginning to go knocking on doors and so on. But it was also the opportunity, of course, and the potential of the Brazilian market, that it was not mature in the digital way, and also for competition.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that's an advice for other foreign companies coming to Brazil, that they cannot do a copy paste from something that worked, back in Europe or in the States or wherever, saying that this model has been working there, so let's do something similar in Brazil? You have to tropicalize the business model.
Yeah, you have to be very flexible, I think, and you have to be ready for this in the beginning. Like they always say, Brazil is not for beginners, right? Tropicalize is a word we used a lot in the beginning, and it depends on your product, of course, but I think a lot of flexibility and openness to change, and be ready for that in the beginning. I think it's so much opportunity in Brazil. It's crazy. During my 11 years here and almost 6 years at Financiero, it's been very unstable for different reasons, impeachments, all kinds of financial or political crisis, and of course pandemic and so on. And now with the election year next year, there's a lot of things happening around, but at the same time, the online world or the startup world, the digital world here, have just been going like a rocket. And we've seen a lot of numbers now with venture capital coming in. We saw the first half of this year was over $5 billion, compared, I think, with $4 billion for the whole year in 2020. And 2020 was the biggest year. We see a lot of some money coming in and a lot of opportunities. On the fintech side, open banking is happening now, and it's happening fast with the support from the central bank. And unicorns keep popping up. You just have to be ready to maybe have the funds and have the patience and the flexibility in the beginning to come get through all the red tape and all the challenges. I'm sure the rate of starting a new business here and failing or closing down is one of the highest in the world. I don't have the statistics for that, but it's challenging in the beginning. But then after that, it's the potential is enormous.
Now for us, as a Chamber of Commerce, it's music to our ears listening to you, Olle, because of course, you're not saying that it's easy. There are many challenges, but on the other hand, you have to see the country, right? Politicians, they come and go, but Brazil is still here, 200 million people, and opportunities are huge, right? So I think that's the vision you need to have, and that's what you have done. And there are other companies within the Webrock group in other sectors also trying the Brazilian market, and some really nice success stories to tell also. So for sure, opportunities are still here.
Definitely. Webrock now has, I think, 6 different portfolio companies. We are in a separate office from them, but they have a kind of a hub over in Pinheiros. We are here in Jardins, or close to Paulista.
It's great partner. They are also members they're also members of the chamber, and again, they see opportunities where many Brazilians complain and say that this is an impossible country to work in. The Swedes come in, they invest, and they do have success, you know.
Yeah, no. The market is so big, and I mean, I'm sure we had many seminars at the chamber, but there's the number, you know, the social media usage, the smartphones, the digital level of Brazilians is very impressive for still an emerging market. And like you said, the size of the country is crazy as well. And I love Sao Paulo because it's the center of Latin America in so many ways, right? So you have that feeling and this the network here of opportunities as well. Yeah, I wanted to show actually the office here. If someone is watching this from Sweden, to see the size here.
You see the São Paulo skyline. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Which park is that? Is it Trianon Park?
Chamber of Commerce is, Trianon is on the side there.
Green, we see a green part, yeah.
So we can't really see the chamber, but not too far there.
I think I can wave to you. You're up there somewhere.
Yeah.
So right near Avenida Paulista, Paulista Avenue. It's a landmark in São Paulo. So you have a very good address. And Olle, I see the office is empty now. Tell us about the pandemic. I mean, everyone is working from home. How has the last year been for you in terms of office and new routines for the staff?
Yeah, it's been challenging, like everywhere. I feel now that we're reaching a point when people really come back. Right now, I can only see 3 people here. We're 61 employees now, but yesterday we were 15 or 16 people, trying to be a bit spread out in the office. It's completely voluntary. We do it's up to the employee, you know, if they want to be here or not. So depends a bit. We had some workshop days with 10, 12 people, but at the same time, I mean, I think beginning of October, most people will have the second dose. Here, I think everyone at least have the first dose, and you know, I believe in coming back, but with more flexibility and flexibility for each individual as well. We have some people that moved a bit outside of Sao Paulo. We have some people that we hired a bit further, but could still commute. And then we have people that worked before the pandemic, but still spent 2 hours to the office and 2 hours back, which doesn't make any sense for anyone. And if they can come in 1 day a week, something like this, for kickoffs or stuff like that, that's fine with me. So I think we will look at each team and see. I live nearby, so I've been coming since January. It was very bizarre feeling for maybe 4 or 5 months being completely empty in the office, you know, a big office here, but now we start, you know, of course we had some cases of corona, but we want to come back, and I think the norm will be at least 3 days a week for us. But you know, it has to take its time. People have to feel secure, but I believe maybe 1st of November will be a date when we start asking people to come back of two or 3 days per week.
Okay. And how was your home office policy before the pandemic?
It depends a bit on the team, but we were pretty much 100% office. But I mean, we didn't have a very strict policy of it, but some teams are more dependent on being here. So in IT, for example, it was more flexibility. In marketing, more flexibility. But I think, like from many companies, it was still 5 days per week, with you know a bit of flexibility. Now we've seen it's you know this will change forever, right? The pandemic will bring some positive things as well, and the thinking around this. We are looking at maybe opening a satellite office somewhere in Sao Paulo here, or somewhere in Brazil. We're looking at a few different cities to recruit developers or build the IT team in another location as well. But what we're thinking there is still have a unit, maybe a co-working, and people come, you know, have a meeting point a few days per week there. But I'm still in the process of just listening to everyone and see. But we have no one out of 60 people. We have no one that says no way, I'm never coming back. So I'm happy about that, because I think it's important to meet each other and meet cross teams and so on now and then.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're all in this process now, right? Listening to others and thinking out of the box. What will happen? What will we keep? What will change? Right? So it's many big decisions to take the coming year. Olle, we're coming to the end. I would like to ask you about your fatherhood. You became a father last year, and how was that? You had a pandemic, you became a father, and you still had a big company to run. Tell us about this experience.
It was. So my son Matthias was born in June. So it was around 3 months of you know the beginning of the pandemic. Everyone home, of course, and you know you kind of didn't leave your apartment too much. It was definitely a lot of insecure feeling, you know, insecure and a bit of nervousness about the pandemic in general, what's going to happen about the company. We were looking at a lot of how can we make the funds that we have right now, how can we make them last as long as possible? Do we need to cut you know, the team? All these questions, talking with the board and some investors. It was pretty tense. And at the same time, the nervousness of becoming a father and I remember, you know, not knowing which hospital, how will it work with all that, you know, all the normal things. But it all turned out great. And to be honest, from a personal view, you know, becoming a father and then having 6 months of home office, it was, you know, very good to be very close to my son. You know, best thing that ever happened to me, of course. But still, of course, some insecure. But things started to change. We were actually some comments here in the comment. You know, when he was born, then the banks started to come back. They were very nervous about the risk appetite or lending money before, and then things started to change in June, July. And also with a very senior team here now, you know, very, very senior head of operations, head of marketing, head of IT, Anna, that you know, like I felt also being away a bit. I had a few weeks completely off there when he was born and so, but yeah, it was a crazy time to become a father, Corona generation and so on, but it all turned out fine.
Yeah, for sure. It just made you even stronger, right? If you couldn't handle that, you can handle anything.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, right? But with startups, you always say all the problems you have, all the challenges you face, and that you overcome, of course, that's the value of your company. The more problems and challenges you manage to overcome, you've made you stronger, and that's the true value of your business.
Yeah. And then the Chamber of Commerce. I'm here now, also in an empty office, right? My team is working from home.
How is anyone coming back soon, or are you?
Yes, I guess they are coming back to also part-time, working from home and part-time from here. But of course, I'm in the auditorium now. We would like to come back with the events, right? This is the core business is speeches and team training, etc. here, and that's too soon. I mean, people will not join too many people yet, but
hopefully this
to the
year,
end of the year,
hopefully November, something like this. That's what I miss as well. Now I live even closer as well, but that's some of the highlights here. I remember once 2019 when we raised money. We raised $11 million, and the same day you guys had Easter party, right?
I remember.
So we went down,
celebrated
30
here.
people,
celebrated
and Swedish music, drinking songs, Swedish food. This is the thing that I think you have to be smart about if you want to start a Swedish startup here, a Swedish business. Use the Swedish traditions, and I mean, there's not that many places in Sao Paulo that you can get that. But I really miss the cocktail and the events. And the Easter one was a special one. Some people drank a bit too much aquavit.
The Swedish aquavit is dangerous, you know. Dangerous.
Yeah. No, they're still talking about that.
Good times. They will come back. We will come back for sure. I mean, we're still in the process of adapting, but for sure, we will have many good parties and good events here.
I really look forward to that. And when there's space for 60 people or maybe 50 people, let me know. But we need a bigger venue maybe for at least one or two parties per year.
The Christmas party is also special, right? We have always arranged a big party, Swedish Christmas foods and drinks. Of course, nothing last year. Let's see in December this year if we can do anything similar, but let's see. It's been great.
For an event, maybe not for the Christmas party, but we can definitely do something together, the Chamber of Commerce and Financiero here, and use our space here.
Sounds good.
Have some startup, Swedish startup event and cocktails or something.
Perfect. Bring them all in, right? We have seen a bigger interest from Sweden. I guess you also have it, and Business Sweden, which also is here in Sao Paulo, helping Swedish companies into this market, have also said that yes, there's a growing interest from Swedish companies to come to Brazil in different sectors. So yes, that's a good signal. Olle, thank you so much. It's 11:45.
Time to work.
Let's go back to work. Yes, with the coffee. It's very nice talking to you. Congratulations to this success story. Let's hope more Swedish companies see the opportunities like you do and like the WebRock team does. And we're here to support as the chamber. I think we mentioned that Olle is a member of the board. We have 15 directors in the board, and Olle is one of them, doing a great job supporting the chamber too. So thank you for that support, Olle. Anything else before we close?
No, I think that's it. Just thanks a lot for the opportunity, and let me know in any way we can help or I can help with people contacting the chamber, and especially then startups and just wants to talk and know a bit about the experiences here.
That's great to know.
I enjoy those conversations, so that's just my pleasure for sure.
We will use you as a bollplank, as we say in Swedish. Bollplank.
Yes.
The Brazilians have to Google the word now. I will not translate it. Bollplank. Go to Google and you will see what Olle is. Okay, Olle. Okay. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to see you soon. Thanks you. Talk soon.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thanks everyone.
Say hi to Maru and Matthias.
I will, for sure. Yeah, you too.